Next, we're going to look at the effects section. And the effects section works the same way as our buses. They're just specifically designed to route audio to the effects rack built into the board and then return back into the board. So we'll go through the whole signal flow. This tends to trip people up because it's all routed within the board, which makes it kind of hard to picture in your brain. So we're going to click over here to the effects section. And we'll do a close-up on the screen after we figure out the routing and stuff. So how we route things into these, we have 4 different units. They can be whatever kind of effect you want. I find it helps to picture them as like an actual rack sitting outside of the board, out here somewhere in the physical world. That kind of helps you think about how it routes through the board. So we'll route to them the same way we route to any other bus. So we can select bus 13, which is purple for the effects unit. Hit the fader flip. Let's say that's the reverb. We want to send all our vocals to the reverb unit. So we'll just dial up our vocals, hit the fader flip. So now we have the input channels being sent over to bus 13. The bus 13 master is up, so that allows all the signal to pass through. And now that runs, pretend you know it's outside of the board, runs into like the physical unit on the outside of the board, does its reverb thing, and then that reverb, the wet channels, the actual reverb itself, needs to go somewhere so that we can mess with it. And where it goes is to this aux-in USB channel. You can see that they're purple to match the same color coding. And this is where the effect part returns into the board. And then from there, we can route it to other places. So right now it's being sent over to the master fader because the faders are up. If we wanted to, we could route it to our monitors, say monitor 2. Select that sucker, fader flip, and now we can route our wet signal, which is our actual reverb, over to that monitor if you want. I find it's good. Some artists will ask for reverb in their monitors. A lot of them won't. I find it's good to set up one for your house mix and then another reverb for your monitors. That way you have 2 areas of control. If the artist wants like more or less in their wedge, you can do that and it won't affect what's going out into the house. So that's the signal flow through the board. It helps to think of it being outside the board. So input channel, we're selecting our reverb unit, fader flip it. So now we're sending these to the reverb. That's going into this channel, which is routing into the effects unit right here. Then the effects unit outputs are coming out of that, back into these 2 channels. And then from there, we can send them where we want. So we can send them to the stereo fader, which we're doing, send them to our buses. So that's kind of the signal flow. So there's a few different steps, and that's how it works for all of it. If you want to send over to the second channel, which has a hall reverb on it now, same deal, fader flip over to that. Or we can use these encoders up here, 13 through 16, if you want. Select your channel, dial that sucker up. Gets processed, returns back into the board. So that's the signal flow for the effects unit. That tends to trip people up, especially if people ask for reverb in their monitors. Just remember that it's getting processed, returning onto these input channels, and then you can route it from there to wherever you want.